it just wasn't as seamless as I have experienced with some other vehicles. Ladies and gentlemen, today we're reviewing a 2024 Mazda CX-5 Turbo Premium, and I've had the pleasure of living with this car for the last week. I'm gonna tell you what I like and what I don't like, and whether or not I recommend that you buy this vehicle. Starting with the exterior styling, in a sea of bland, anonymous, and boring compact CUVs, I think Mazda, their styling is really on point. With the CX-5, you have these crisp, yet smooth and organic lines that flow to the CUV. Actually, it's a good looking vehicle, especially in this gorgeous soul red crystal metallic, one of the best reds that you can buy in any vehicle, in my honest opinion. This trim, which is the second highest trim, you can go one higher with the Turbo Signature. That one comes with silver wheels, and these trim pieces are body painted. On this Turbo Premium, we have black 17-inch wheels and black trim all around, which is kind of polarizing. Some people like it, some people don't. I think it looks fine in this application. Cargo space completely adequate for this class of vehicle. One thing I like here is that we have a 40-20-40 split, which improves the overall practicality if you want to put skis and such in the middle. I actually own a 2023 Turbo Premium Plus Mazda CX-50, and that one has only a 60-40, not a 40-20-40. But one thing that is kind of strange here is when you're actually folding the seats up and down, you can't actually move them unless you move your driver's seat up. At least at my seating position, I'm 6'1", so might be different for you. But this is something that I haven't experienced with my Mazda CX-50, but is a little quirk of the CX-5. Now keep in mind, the CX-5, very similar weight to the CX-50. They're both around 3,800 pounds, but this is 6 inches shorter and also a little bit narrower. The CX-50 is also 2 inches shorter. It has a little bit more ground clearance. So the vehicle is squished vertically, but stretched both front to back and side to side. And you definitely feel like there is less cargo space in the CX-5 compared to the CX-50. And let's move this back to where it was. I would really like to be able to fold the rear seats up and down without having to move the driver's seat and the passenger seat. But getting into the interior, Mazda has been killing it lately with their interior design and their materials and their build quality, because at the price point, it definitely punches above its weight class. This is, you still have a leather steering wheel, and this is the, remember, second highest level. When you go full signature, you do get Napa leather, a few higher quality materials here and there, but even at this Turbo Premium trim, it's a very nice place to be. Great materials, great build quality. I do like that all the touch points are nice and solid. They feel good. My CX-50 does have a plastic door handle, which feels a little bit cheaper, although it's going more for that rugged, kind of rugged and luxurious feel. We have Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, and the nice thing here, so it's of course wireless, but the wireless charger up here actually works with my iPhone 15. Whereas with my CX-50, the charger is located right around here, and it never actually works with my iPhone, not even my 14, because that big camera bump, it doesn't sit quite flush, and that seems to be causing the issues. As for the interior, it's a traditional but nice place to be with a slight twist of sportiness. You have this 3-spoke steering wheel, great thickness to the wheel, nice leather touch as well. And the vent, the stitching, the little trim piece here, it can actually change. I've seen wood on the Signature. Nice touches, right? It's a good place to be for sure. The screen is a little bit lower resolution. I can see a little bit of pixelation compared to my CX-50. The CX-50 seems to have a newer generation screen up here. This also has the prior gen controls for the infotainment, which, two things I don't like. The first is that you can't actually toggle forward and back between songs by pushing the volume knob left and right. And the actual center control here, it is, I guess, narrower and taller, whereas the CX-50, which has a newer gen control unit here, is wider and shorter, which feels a little bit more ergonomic to the hand. The other thing is the cup holder placement. It doesn't seem as practical, because if you have something tall here, let's say I had 2 of these, then you can't really get to this without really craning over. HVAC controls are a little bit more traditional. I appreciate in the CX-50 you have a little shelf that's up here, a little bit easier to grab. It's, you know, while you're driving, you don't have to take your eyes off the road. It's right there. You can just go based on touch. This one, a little bit lower, and it has been requiring a little bit more attention when I'm interacting with it. And with that said, let's see how she drives. Now keep in mind, I'm not sure if they changed this recently or this has always been the case, but these are in fact touchscreens, right? So you can actually control it with touch or with this. With the CX-50, I got so used to this center control unit here that I barely even use the touch, which actually keeps the screen looking nice and clean, no fingerprints. When you look at your actual dash, you have a center digital with 2 analog on the left and right, your tachometer on the left, and your coolant temperature and fuel gauge on the right are analog. And the center gauge, it has really nice black levels, good contrast there, so it looks seamless. It looks like it's actually analog unless you inspect it closer and you realize that the needle is not 3-dimensional. You can actually change the display by pressing this info button. A few different displays, very similar to what I have in my CX-50. I do very much appreciate the way this car drives. Compared to other compact CUVs, Mazda has found a beautiful balance here between comfort and sportiness. The steering doesn't have that beautiful feedback that's actually kind of polarizing with the CX-50. The CX-50 steering is much heavier and has a lot more communication and feedback to it. This one doesn't have that feedback. It's a lot lighter, a little bit more what you would expect for a vehicle of this class, whereas the CX-50 almost has like a sports car steering rack. But this still feels very direct and responsive. It's very one-to-one. One thing I will say, however, is that driving this back-to-back with the CX-50, you can tell this is softer sprung, which I think for most people is probably what they want. If you're like me, if you like driving sportier cars, if you enjoy pushing a car a little bit, then the CX-50 is going to be more aligned to your driving preferences, but the CX-5 is definitely more comfortable. The seats also feel better. The CX-50 sometimes feels a little bit stiff, whereas the CX-5 has really dialed in the seats properly. It also doesn't have that center stitching in the CX-50 that some people complain feels like it's a credit card up their butt. I personally don't have issues with it. This vehicle comes with 2 engine options, and we're of course in the turbo. So it's a 2.5 liter inline-four, cranking out 310 pound-feet of torque, or 320 with a premium octane. That 310 is with regular octane, and around 227 horsepower. Again, you get a little power bump when you do the premium octane, up to around 250 horsepower. And I definitely think this is adequate and even peppy. The inline-four, you're making below 200 horsepower, and I feel like that might feel sluggish, but I haven't driven it personally. This is the same engine and transmission as in my CX-50, and I love this powertrain because the thing is, it's very torquey. You get torque as soon as, you're at 1500 RPM, very close to idle. If you put your pedal down, it'll pull very gradually and smoothly. And the red line's around 6,000, but you never need to push it that high because it already dies out well before that. Before 5,000 RPM, you feel the power die off. But this is actually exactly what you want in a vehicle of this type, because this is your city commuter, everyday driver, road trip vehicle. So you can overtake a vehicle on the highway without even necessarily needing to downshift because you have so much low-end torque. And it does have a torque converter 6-speed automatic transmission, which a lot of people complain about, hey, this is antiquated technology. But I've been driving, again, the same unit in my CX-50, and it is completely adequate for 2 reasons. Number one is that with that great low-end torque, you don't need a lot of gears. You can actually be at the power band with fewer gears. And the second reason is fuel economy. When you're cruising at highway speeds around 70, 75, you're right around 2,000 to 2,500 RPM. So you're not really punishing yourself with fuel efficiency from that perspective. However, the vehicle still does not have the greatest fuel economy. This is actually rated at, I believe, 24, and the CX-50 is at 25. When you compare it to the competition, it's a little bit lower than average. Going over these more imperfect surface conditions right now, I can definitely say this is more comfortable than my CX-50. But there is a trade-off, right? Mazda, I think, overall has done a great job of tuning this, so it still feels sporty and nice to drive while still being comfortable. But compared to my CX-50, I noticed there is a little bit more body roll. It's not quite as responsive in the front end with steering input. It's a little bit more traditional. It feels a little bit more old school, like if someone wants a regular CUV with a slight sporty twist, they go for this, whereas if they want something that has a little bit more of that outdoor rugged styling, but also drives a little bit more sportier, then they go for the CX-50. I think both are fantastic vehicles, and driving this, it makes me feel like this is possibly for a slightly older or more traditional demographic, whereas the CX-50 is more for younger people like me, maybe like sportier cars, driving a little bit faster. Around the turns though, you gotta admit, it does a great job handling its weight. Again, both this and the CX-50 are around the same weight at 3,800 pounds. But one thing I've noticed is that I can induce torque steer at a much lower threshold in this vehicle versus the CX-50. So in the CX-50, I really need to abuse it and really throw it into corners and, you know, get on the throttle to get torque steer. Whereas here, even at more moderate speeds or moderate throttle inputs, I can feel that torque steer. Most people aren't gonna be bothered by this. I tend to have, you know, a very, let's just say I am very sensitive to steering. And I'm not sure why that is, because they both have the same all-wheel drive system, which is front-wheel bias. And I'm curious to know what you guys think. Let me know with a comment down below if you have any ideas. While I enjoy many things about the CX-5, it's personally not the vehicle for me. And ironically, it's because Mazda has another vehicle, the CX-50, which better suits my preferences. I think the CX-50 has a few smaller touches here and there. Like even the turn signal indicator, the sound of it sounds a little bit crisper, a little bit, you know, even the stock feels a little bit snappier. And it makes that CX-50 feel ever so slightly more special when I get behind the wheel. The way it drives, so sporty, the way it looks, so aggressive. This is a great vehicle, but because of the CX-5, I definitely find myself falling into that demographic a little bit more neatly. You can even see with the buttons on the steering wheel or the HVAC controls that the fonts they use, the icons, they're slightly different. And, whoo, those brakes. And the CX-50s, it feels a little bit more modern. It feels like it's designed more for me and people my age group, whereas the CX-5, it definitely feels more traditional. For example, these plastic buttons here, they don't have the same level of texture. They don't have the little metal toggles of the CX-50. But overall, both vehicles are more similar than different, of course. They both have the same suite of driving assists, the radar guided cruise control, which I think works fantastically. You have lane keep assist, not lane centering, but lane keep assist. You have lane departure warning. You have blind spot monitoring, and when you're reversing, the rear cross traffic alerts. But one thing that would be great to see in Mazda's lineup is actually having the automatic steering control. But Mazda's philosophy, from my understanding, is one more of driver focus and engagement, and that's, you know, a big reason why they didn't even have touchscreens for the longest time, because they really want you to focus on being intent and driving with full focus and safety, which I think is a very good idea. There are some people that get a little bit too enthusiastic and a little bit too lackadaisical with their own involvement when they have autonomous driving. But it would still be a nice feature for certain situations. They actually do provide some of those features below 40 miles an hour, but when I've been using it at these lower city speeds, sometimes I had issues with the automatic emergency braking, getting triggered, and it just wasn't as seamless as I have experienced with some other vehicles. Anyway, that's just my opinion, and one thing I find very fascinating is that the CX-5 versus CX-50 debate gets super heated if you go on Reddit or even on the YouTube comments, and people feel very strongly about one versus the other. You have to keep in mind that the CX-50, the equivalent trim is around $2,000 more than the equivalent CX-5, so you have to decide whether or not that price premium is worth it for you. By the way, the sign reading technology is so cool. They have like these cameras up here, and it tells me speed limit's 45 right now. Pretty dope. You can see I got my blind spot monitor on the heads-up display. You can turn that off. We don't need the cruise. But if you look at the reverse, the camera quality is actually not quite as good as in the CX-50 and the newer updated Mazdas, and you can tell that the camera they're using, lower resolution, not as good picture quality with the colors and the contrast, the dynamic range rather. Not a huge deal, but just a small thing to note. But let me know what you guys think with a comment down below. Would you choose CX-5, CX-50, or something else entirely? Much love, my friends. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you all in that next one.